Hi, my name's Nadine Ingram and I'm from Flower and Stone in Sydney. I'm going to be making chocolate brioche and I think it's a really easy recipe that you can make for your family at Easter. I'm going to start by making the chocolate filling. I'm using a chocolate manjari. We just pulse it in the food processor. And I add the roasted whole natural almonds. They get pulsed as well, so they're really fine. Sugar. And then finally the cream, just to make our paste. I've also put a little bit of vanilla into the cream. I like using vanilla for everything. And just scrape the sides down just to get all those loose bits from around the outside. It's kind of like Nutella. That's it. So don't worry too much about getting it too fine. It's really nice to have a nice rustic crumb through there. So this is the brioche dough that I'm going to make. In the bowl here I've got a strong baker's flour. If you haven't got fresh yeast you can use dried yeast. Just use double the quantity that the recipe calls for. I've also got a little bit of salt as well. And then I've got my sugar, which is going to activate the yeast and sweeten the dough a little bit. I just start the machine on low speed. You can do this by hand, but it's much easier to use a machine obviously. Then I just add my eggs to the dough and the milk. So you just want the dough to come together and see how it's taking all the flour away from the outside of the bowl so that it's no longer sticking to the outside. And then once the dough starts to become elastic, you just start adding your butter little by little. This is the best bit about the brioche, is the butter. It's really elastic now, you can see that the yeast doing its work. So just spray the bowl so that the brioche doesn't stick to the sides of the bowl, because we're going to take it out of the mixer now and leave it in the fridge overnight. So the next day you take your brioche out of the fridge and it's doubled in volume overnight, that's the yeast. And then you just tip your dough out onto the bench. You can either use your hands to shape the brioche or you can use a rolling pin. I find it easier to use my hands. Flatten the dough out onto the bench into a rectangle approximately 60 centimetres long and 25 centimetres wide. Spread the chocolate mixture over the dough and then make a book fold to envelope the chocolate. Cut the dough into 3 centimetre strips, allow the brioche to prove for a final 20 minutes and then glaze the brioche with an egg wash. Bake in the oven for 15 minutes or until golden on top.